Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, alhamdulillah, wa salatu salam ala Rasulullah. We continue reading from the 40 principles of the religion, and we have reached the 29th, the ninth principle in this chapter, this quarter. Self-admiration, al-ujb. So Imam Al-Ghazali says in the Arba'in fi Usul al-Din, self-admiration. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَيَوْمَ حُنَيْنٍ إِذَا أَعْجَبَتْكُمْ كَثْرَتُكُمْ. So the quoting this verse is obviously about the ujb إِذَا أَعْجَبَتْكُمْ, on the day of Hunayn, when your great number pleased you. But the etymology, pleased you, it's about the word ujb, and so the root really is the three letters Ain, Jim, Ba, and the context, of course, of the verses that they were pleased with their numbers, to the degree that they relied on the numbers rather than on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because in Badr, the number of the Muslims was practically 1/3 of the idol worshippers of Mecca. But the spirit was different. And there are still two other verses. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَهُمْ يَحْسَبُونَ أَنَّهُمْ يَحْسُنُونَ صُنْعًا. While they think that they are doing well. They like what they are doing. They rank themselves amongst those who are accepted. They do that, they don't. But they are doomed. They went astray because of this. They give themselves a pat on the shoulder. And the third verse, فَلَا تُزَكُّوا أَنفُسَكُمْ هُوَ أَعْلَمُ بِمَنِ اتَّقَى. So وَمَحْسُبُونَ أَنَّهُمْ يَحْسُنُونَ صُنْعًا, while they think that they are doing well, فَلَا تُزَكُّوا أَنفُسَكُمْ هُوَ أَعْلَمُ بِمَنِ اتَّقَى. Do not claim yourselves to be pure. He is more knowledgeable of whoever is God-fearing. The Prophet ﷺ said, this is the tazkiyat al-nafs, really. This becomes problematic when one presents oneself in a way that goes beyond reality. But even if it's real, then you shouldn't. And let me just give a good example. When you tailor your CV, how much of that is accurate? When you are asked during an interview, does your answer really reflect reality, or do you spice things, inflate things? If the job requires teamwork, then you are the master of that. At any rate, this is a serious problem. The Prophet ﷺ said there are three destructive characteristics: stinginess, that is obeyed; caprice, that is followed; and a person's self-admiration. We have dealt with this hadith earlier, and we we said that it is really it's problematic from more than one perspective. So it is really a very weak tradition. In fact, it has more than one problematic narrator. When we say problematic, it means amongst the chain of narrators, they cannot be accepted. And when you have someone who is not really someone who's not known, okay, someone is not known, immediately the hadith drops. It cannot be good. It cannot be okay. Yes. And there are those who are known, but they have been accused of lying. So, as I said, more than I think at least three problematic people on the chain of narrators that would definitely make it a problem. But that does not mean that that there isn't a message in the hadith. Okay, if you if you obey stinginess, then really that's a serious problem. A person who's stingy with could be a stingy with money, stingy with time, stingy with smiles, stingy with and caprice. That's really the source of probably the source of the major issues on earth right now, or the major problems, whether in politics, whether in economics, whether social problems. It's following caprice. And when you talk about self-admiration, you know, you don't resort to the authority, the source, the you don't resort to you know, let's say neither revelation nor wisdom that came through generations of scholars dwelling on revelation, and they become self-subsistent in terms of ideas. I think my philosophy is Ibn Mas'ud said, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala be pleased with him, destruction is in two things: despair and self-admiration. Despair here, despair in terms of not you know, not believing that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will forgive you. That's, you know, very important to maintain. Never despair from the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He combined these two because a desperate person does not seek happiness due to his despair, while a person who admires himself does not seek it due to his belief that he has already attained it. Those who do not see any problems with themselves, they are perfect. They have attained everything. Another hadith, the Prophet ﷺ said, if you did not commit sins, I would fear for you what is greater than that: self-admiration. And let me just mention the hadith in Arabic, because in English it seems it covers two different wordings. We have a third, of course, I will comment on that. The hadith, the degree of the text of this hadith that is good, Hasan, really, so it's okay. The Prophet ﷺ said, لو لم تذنبوا لخفت عليكم ما هو أعظم. Really, it is akbar. But in English, أعظم and akbar could be the same translation, greater than that. If you did not commit sins, I would fear for you what is greater than that greater than sins. Self-admiration. Now the same let's say beginning لو لم تذنبوا, if you did not commit sins. There's a hadith, a sound tradition in Sahih Muslim. The Prophet ﷺ said, وَالَّذِي نَفْسِي بِيَدِهِ لَوْ لَمْ تُذْنِبُوا. Now it's a different still very problematic for us, not as no more problems with the text or the chain of narrators. لَذَهَبَ اللَّهُ بِكُمْ, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will take you away, you will wither away. وَلَجَاءَ بِقَوْمٍ, and He will bring people who commit sins but they also seek forgiveness. وَلَجَاءَ بِقَوْمٍ يُذْنِبُونَ فَيَسْتَغْفِرُونَ اللَّهِ, so they ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for forgiveness. فَيَغْفِرُ لَهُمْ, so He will forgive them. That's narrated by in this in Sahih Muslim, in the compendia of Imam Muslim. Aisha radiallahu anha was asked, when is a man doing bad? She said, when he thinks that he is doing well. A man looked at Bishr bin Mansur as he was prolonging the prayer and performing worship well. When he finished, he said, do not, when Bishr bin Mansur when he finished, he said, do not be deceived by what you have seen from me, for indeed Iblis, Satan, worshipped Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and prayed for thousands of years, then became what he has become. He rebelled against Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He became accursed, and he is destined for hellfire. And yes, we do have tribulations in this life, but the major, major fitna is always with Satan, and it's a daily battle, really. The reality of self-admiration is to magnify the self and its characteristics, which are blessings, and to rely on them, forgetting the bestower of blessings, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and feeling secure about not losing them. If, in addition to this, a person sees himself as having some entitlement or position with Allah, then this is called conceit. One report says, indeed, the prayer of the conceited does not rise above his head. The sign of conceit is that a person is amazed at his supplication being rejected, and at the good condition of the one who annoys him. Self-admiration is the cause of pride. However, pride requires someone else to be arrogant towards, while self-admiration is conceivable individually, whether there are people there or not. Narcissism, really, the myth, the story behind it is that this young man who looked into the pool and he saw his image and he liked it so much that it seemed that ultimately he fell and he drowned. So people could drown, of course, metaphorically. Because of this, they don't see reality. They see nothing but themselves. So, as for the one who sees Allah's blessings upon him through some deed, knowledge, or anything else, who fears its cessation, he fears that it will be taken away from him, and rejoices in Allah's blessing, subhanahu wa ta'ala, simply because it is from Allah, subhanahu wa ta'ala. He is not guilty of self-admiration. Rather, the person who admires himself is someone who feels secure and forgets to attribute blessings to their bestower. Self-admiration is pure ignorance, therefore its treatment is pure knowledge. If a person admires himself due to strength, wealth, beauty, or some other affair, that is not attached to his choice, then it is also ignorance. These things are not from him, so he should admire the one, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who gave him that thing without him deserving it. He should also reflect on the fact that the loss of that blessing is an imminent threat as a consequence of the least bit of illness or weakness. If a person admires his knowledge or deeds and what falls under his choice, then he should reflect on what facilitated those deeds for him, and that they were not facilitated except by a limb, ability, will, and knowledge. All of these things are among Allah's creation, subhanahu wa ta'ala. If Allah created the limb and the ability, subjugated the means, and removed all distractions, then that action happened necessarily. The compelled has no right to admire what occurs from him by necessity, for he is compelled to choose it. He does not do something if he wills, but only if Allah wills. Whether he wills or does not will is irrelevant, so long as will is a matter created within him. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَمَا تَشَاءُونَ إِلَّا أَن يَشَاءَ اللَّهُ. And you do not will unless Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wills. Unless Allah wills. The key to action is the imposition of will and turning away from all diversions, along with complete physical capacity, all of which is in Allah's hand, subhanahu wa ta'ala. Consider, and of course, when we say in Allah's hand, we should always remember that these anthropomorphic verses or descriptions, because it is mentioned in the Quran, singular, yadullahi fawqa aydihim, and two hands, لما خلقت بيدي, and in the creation of the universe, بأيدٍ, plural, and definitely it cannot be one, it cannot be two, and it cannot be many. All these anthropomorphic verses should be interpreted allegorically, for nothing is like unto him. Consider, if the key to the treasury was in the king's hand, and he gave it to you, and you took money from the treasury, would you admire his generosity when he gave you the key without you deserving it? Or would you admire your full capacity to take it? What real capacity is there other than being put in position? Those who make a gift of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reason for deserving another gift. So one gift would become a reason for another gift. Those who make a gift of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's reason for deserving another gift. Among the truly astonishing things is that a rational person admire his knowledge and reason to the extent that he is astonished if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala impoverishes him and enriches someone who is ignorant. He says, how can Allah spread blessings over an ignorant person and deny me? He is answered, how can he provide you with knowledge and reason and deny them to the ignorant person? This is a gift from him. Do you make it a reason for deserving another gift? Rather, if he combined in you both reason and wealth and denied both of them to the ignorant person altogether, that would be more worthy of astonishment. The rational person's astonishment at this is just like the astonishment of someone to whom a king has given a horse while he has given someone else a slave. The former asks, how could he give a slave to so and so when he does not have a horse, and deny me when I own a horse? He only came to own a horse through the king's giving, yet he makes his gift a reason for deserving another gift. This is quintessential ignorance. Let me say, I have tried to reflect on whenever the idea of a slave shows up. I try to mention something, to reflect on this. This is, I would say, 50 years ago now. Like in school, we have been systematically taught by our, Islamic studies teacher that Islam came to end this issue. Islam systematically chipped at at slavery. There are so many instances in Islamic jurisprudence where you would be required to set a slave free, and when it comes to eating and clothing, then it should have been the same between between the quote unquote master and slave. I say quote unquote. Sayyidina Umar al-Khattab radhiyallahu anhu reflects this ethos. He is the product of the school of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He said, once you enslave people when their mothers gave birth to them free, and today slavery, it has so many forms. People are not sold the way they used to be sold. Hopefully not. There are. You talk about women trafficking, for example, children. So there are people who are enslaved in that fashion, but still, it's not the way it used to be in the past. And luckily, but still, there are people who suffer from this. But there are other forms. People are taken. The Uyghur in China, for example, they are taken to quote unquote for re-education, and the old tolerance towards the existence of Muslims and their religion and their culture, whether in Xinjiang or other places, different ethnicities really, is not there anymore. But there are labor camps. It has been part of modern history. There are still certain things like this around the world, but not limited to that. And the example that I like and appreciate is the example of Sayyidina Bilal bin Rabah, an Abyssinian. He's African. And when we refer to Sayyidina Bilal, the companion of the Prophet ﷺ, the first mu'adhin, the mu'adhin of the Prophet ﷺ, we say he is Sayyidina Bilal. He's our master Bilal, and I love it. Just be fair to people of different ethnicity. The ethnicities with these colors are signs pointing to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's the way they were described in the Quran, the tongues and colors of people. Just be fair. Just be fair. Tolerance is not the right word even. We need to celebrate the existence of all human beings. If you reach the level of love, then that's what it is. So going back to the horse and the slave. Instead, we are finished with that. Instead, the truly rational person is always amazed at Allah's grace, subhanahu wa ta'ala, and generosity, from whence He gave him knowledge and reason, and provided him with the means and capacity to worship without any entitlement from him. He denied that to another, subjected him to that which caused corruption, and compelled him to it by turning away from him that which caused to good, without any previous crime on his part. If a person truly witnesses this, then fear will overcome him. He might say, Allah has blessed me in this world without any means on my part and singled me out with it to the exclusion of others. Whoever does the like of this for no reason must be quick to punish, also without any crime or reason. What shall I do if the blessings bestowed upon me are a plot or a gradual misguidance? We have the word istidraj in Arabic, and this is why it's been translated into plot, if you will. A plot or a gradual misguidance. Istidraj. Your leg, like pulling thinking that you have feeling safe, let me put it this way, when your condition is a test, you are being tested. Istidraj. You are being tested. This is Allah, this is as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, فتحنا عليهم أبواب كل شيء حتى إذا فرحوا بما أوتوا أخذناهم بغتة. We opened the doors of everything to them, good, until they rejoiced in what they were given. Then we took it from them unexpectedly. I think we took it from them. I think there's another possibility. They were taken. I mean, of course, the things could be taken away. أخذناهم rather, because it's not أخذناها. أخذناها will be definitely about the كل شيء. أخذناهم. It probably is the people, and if in this case, it would be we took them unexpectedly. But inshallah khair. And as he said, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, سَنَسْتَدْرِجُهُمْ مِنْ حَيْثُ لَا يَعْلَمُونَ. We will gradually misguide them from where they do not know. So this is really the test, and people should not attribute the things that they have to themselves. One of the text, we are done with the text. One last comment. When Qarun, you talk about the trio, Haman, Qarun, and Fir'aun, the Pharaoh. So Qarun was the one who was given money, wealth beyond imagination, that you needed a group of men to carry the keys, not the wealth itself. So you can imagine what's if a group of men are needed simply to carry the keys, imagine all these. It's not as safe like today, but it must be keys to rooms, keys. But when he was asked about this source, how he acquired all this wealth, he attributed that to himself, to his knowledge. إنما أوتيته على علم عندي. He, of course, did not say it's from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And I hope that we'll all always remember, inshallah, to attribute all these beautiful things that we have, whether it's material things or really knowledge. Inshallah, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala increase us, and may we always remember that وما بكم من نعمة فمن الله. Whatever you have, all the grace, it is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. جزاكم الله خيرا. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.